Hello, my dear students. We'll study here 12th Standard Biology. Lesson number 2, Reproduction in Higher and Lower Animals, Part 3. Here we'll study the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system. It consists the following parts. The first one is ovary and uterus, urethra, and a pair of oviduct, a pair of ovaries, uterus, vagina, external genitalia, that is vulva, a pair of vestibular glands, and a pair of mammary glands. All these things, uh, the female reproductive system consist. The ovaries. It is the primary female sex organ. Its main function is production of egg or ovum and the female reproductive hormones. It is a solid oval or almond shaped organ. It is 3.0 centimeter in length and 1.5 centimeter in breadth and 1.0 centimeter thick. It is also located in the upper lateral part of the pelvis near the kidneys. Each ovary is held in position by ligaments by attaching it to the uterus and the abdominal wall. The largest of these is the broad ligament formed by the fold of peritoneum. It holds the ovary, oviduct, and the uterus to the dorsal body wall. The ovarian ligaments attach the ovary to the uterus. The ovary produces five hormones called estrogen, progesterone, relaxin, activin, and inhibition. Now we'll see here the structure of human ovary. It is differentiated into a central part called medulla and our outer part called cortex. The cortex is covered externally by a layer of germinal epithelium. The stroma or loose connective tissues of the medulla has blood vessels, lymph vessels, and nerve fibers. The outer cortex is more compact and granular. It shows a large number of tiny masses of cell called ovarian follicles. These are collectively formed from the immature ova originating from cells of the dorsal endoderm of the yolk sac. The cells migrate to the gonadial range during embryonic development and divided mitotically. Now, these are called oogonia. As the oogonia continues to grow in size, they are surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells and form the reductants of the ovum follicles. This process of oogenesis starts much before the birth of a female baby, and by the end of 12 weeks, the ovary is fully formed. It has more than 2 million primordial follicles in it. Now we'll see the TS of ovary. The cells of germinal epithelium give rise to the group of oogonia projecting into the cortex in a form of pods called egg tubes of P. flugger. Each cord at its end has a round mass of oogonial cells called egg nest, from which the primordial ovarian follicle develops. Each primordial follicle has at its center a large primary oocytes, which is two in number, surrounded by a single layer of flat follicle cell. The primary oocyte starts with its mitotic division but gets arrested it at meiosis. First, of the 2 million primordial follicles embedded in the fetal ovary, only about the 1 million remain at birth and only about 60,000 to 80,000 remains at the end. Now we'll see here the detailed structure of the ovaries of a human. At the time of puberty, all these things, this process will happen. The last scale of destruction of the primordial follicle during growth is called atresia. Development of primordial follicle into mature Graafian follicle restarts with the onset of the puberty. During each menstrual cycle, only one of the primordial follicles starts growing to form the Graafian follicle. In each cycle, alternately one of the two ovarian products, the Graafian follicles. The first menstrual cycle or menarche begins normally at about 13 years, and menopause, that is stopping of the cycle, happens at age 45 to 55 years. The period in between monarchy and menopause is the reproductive age of the female and is approximately 32 years. In this time, the female will be producing a maximum of about 416 eggs. Now, this is the total of the egg. Now, we'll see ovarian histology of the mature female. In the histology of ovary, we have discussed the primary structure of ovary. The following discussion includes the changes seen in a mature ovary. Primarily in the cortex, the different stages of development of the oocyte can be seen. These changes in the ovary are the cyclic, occurring during each menstrual cycle, and it involves maturation of primordial follicles. Each primary follicle has multi-layered cuboidal follicular cells. The stroma cell or the trachea over the follicle. Now we'll see here each primary follicle has a multi-layered cuboidal follicular cell. The stroma cells or the trachea over the follicle. It now changes into a secondary follicle. There is a growth of oocyte and granulosa cell increase in number. They start producing the hormones, various hormones in the female body, and it undergoes the various produces called, we'll see here the detailed structure of the egg is released from gradient follicle during ovulation, and the remaining part of follicle changes into a temporary endocrine gland called corpus. Now, the luteum. If fertilization does not take place, the corpus luteum detaches into the white scar called corpus albunicus. The Graafian follicle or the matured follicle. Now we'll see here the structure of Graafian follicle. The Graafian follicle is a mature ovarian follicle, and eccentric secondary oocyte is surrounded by a non-cellular layer of zona pellucida secretes by a vitelline membrane of oocytes. The outermost protective and fibrous covering is called theca externa. Inner to it is a cellular theca internica. It produces the hormone estrogen. Inner to the theca internica, the follicular cells form the membrane granulosa. From the membrana granulosa, the cells differentiate into discus proligerus and corona radica cells. Cumulus oophorus is the term used for the oocyte and surrounding granulosa cells. A fluid filled into cavity called antrum lies between the oocyte and the membrane granulosa. It is filled with fluid called liquor follicle. Now, as you can see in the figure, the detailed structure of granulin follicle has been defined and you can understand it nicely. Now we'll see here the oviduct, fallopian tube or uterine tube. These are the pair of muscular ducts lying horizontally over the potential cavity. The proximal part of the tube lies closely to the ovary and distally it opens into the uterus. Each tube is 10 to 12 centimeter in length. It is internally lined by ciliated epithelium. It can be divided into three regions. As you can see in the figure, you can understand the nicely structure of the oviduct. The first one is infundibulum, the proximal funnel-like part with an opening called ostium surrounded by many figure-like process called fimbridge. Of these, at least one is long and connected to the ovary. The cilia and the movement of fimber helps in driving the ovulated egg to the ostium. The second one is ampulla. It is the middle long and straight part of the oviduct. Fertilization of the ovum takes place in the region. The third one is isthmus or cornua, that is still narrow part of the duct opening into the uterus. Now we'll see here the study of uterus. It is also called as womb where the baby will grow. It is the commonly also called as womb. It is a hollow, muscular, pear-shaped organ located above and behind the urinary bladder. It is about 7.5 centimeter long and 5 centimeter broad and 2.5 centimeter thick. The uterus can be divided into three regions. The first one is the fundus. It is the upper dome shaped part. Normally, implantation of the embryo occurs in the fundus. The second one is the body. It is a broad part of the uterus which gradually tapers downward. The third one is cervix. It is a narrow neck about 2.5 centimeter in length. It extends into a vagina. Its passage has two openings, an internal OS towards the body and the external OS towards the vagina. Internally, the uterine wall can be distinguished into three layers. Outermost perimetrium, the middle thick muscular myometrium made up of thick layer of smooth muscles. The vigorous contractions of these muscles can cause labor during the parturition or childbirth. The innermost layer, called endometrium or mucosal membrane, is made up of satisfied epithelium. The thickness of this layer regularly undergoes changes in during the menstrual cycle. It is richly supplied with blood, vessels, and uterine glands. These provide nourishment of the developing fetus. The vagina. It is a highly elastic muscular tube. It is a tubular female contemporary organ, 7 to 9 centimeters in length. It lies between the cervix and the vestibule. The vaginal wall has an in the inner mucosal lining, the middle mucosal layer, and an outer adventitia layer. The mucosal epithelium is satisfied and non-keratilized and stores glycogen. There is no gland, but the cervical secretion of the mucus is received in the vagina. The opening of the vagina into the vestibule is called the vaginal orifice. This opening is covered partially by a fold of mucous membrane called hymen. The vagina acts as a passage for menstrual flow as well as the birth canal during postparturation. The external genitalia. The external genitalia organs of female include parts external to the vagina and are collectively called vulva, covering or wrapping or pseudodium. They include the following parts. The first one is the vestibules. It is a main medium vertical depression of vulva enclosing the urethral and vaginal opening. The second one is labia minora. These are another pair of thin fold inner to the labia majora with which they merge posteriorly to form the forechat while towards anterior end they converge into a hood-like covering around the clitoris. Now, as you can see in the figure, you can understand the detailed structure of this. Now, the third one is clitoris, a small conical and sensitive projection lying at the anterior end of the labia minora. It has a pair of erectile tissue, the corpora cavosoma, and is homologous to the penis. The next one is labia majora. These are the pair of fleshy fold of skin forming the boundary of vulva. They are homologous to the scrotum. They surrounded and protects the other part of the external genitalia and enclose the urethral and vaginal opening in the vestibule. The last one is mons pubis. It is a fleshy elevation above the labia majora. The mons pubis and outer part of a labia majora shows the pubic hair. Now we'll see here the main accessory gland of a female body. Okay, the accessory gland, also called as vestibular gland or Bartholin's gland. It is a pair of gland homologous to the bulbourethral or Cowper's gland of a female. They opens into the vestibule and release a lubricating fluid. A mammary gland, accessory organ of female reproductive system for production and release of milk after parturition. Development of mammary gland occurs at the puberty under the influence of estrogen and progesterone. Lactotrophic hormone LTH or prolactin helps in development of lactiferous tubules during the pregnancy. Now we'll see the structure and the sectional view of mammary gland. The mammary glands are a pair of round structure present in the subcutaneous tissue of the interior thorax in the pectoral region from second to sixth rib. These are modified sweat gland. Each mammary gland contains fatty connective tissues and numerous of lactiferous duct. The granular tissue of each breast is divided into 15 to 20 irregularly shaped mammary lobes, each with alveolar gland and lactiferous duct. Alveolar gland secretes milk which is stored in the lumen of alveoli. The alveoli opens into mammary tubules. The tubules of each lobe joins to form a mammary duct. Many mammary duct joins to form a wider mammary ampulla, which is connected to lactiferous duct. This coverage towards the nipple located near the tip of the breast. It is surrounded by a dark brown colored and circular area of the skin called areola. So, as you can see here in the figure, the structure and the function of the mammary gland in a female reproductive system. I hope you like this video. Please like, share, subscribe this video and press on the bell icon to get notified for every new update. Thanks for watching and please share this video and see and watch the full video without forwarding or skipping the details. Thanks for watching.